Thinking about moving to Manhattan in 2026, a lot has changed over the years, from home prices to taxes to utilities, and it can cost you thousands of dollars if you are not prepared. What's going on, everybody? Kyle Powers here, Haven Real Estate Group at eXp Realty, your Manhattan real estate expert. And today in this video, I want to cover everything that talks about Manhattan affordability when you go to buy a house, talking from actual lifestyle costs and talking from groceries to home prices to taxes and everything else in between. I want to cover that with this video today, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's start with the big picture and where housing prices are actually going. This whole video is not going to be about houses, I promise you that, but right now in 2026, we are projected to have an increase of 2 to 4% of appreciation over time. Now, those numbers vary widely on where you bought, when you bought, where you bought, and all of those things that come in with that. This appreciation is fueled by the constant, steady Fort Riley relocation, the Kansas State University having the employment that we have with that, and then also having that strong demand for actual Midwest affordability. Now, I know that you're sitting there thinking, yeah, right, Kyle, Manhattan is the most expensive town in Kansas. Yeah, it probably is up there for sure. I don't want to sugarcoat that at all. But if you're coming in from either coast or north or south, Manhattan is a very affordable Midwest town. So if you are looking for that, you are on the right channel and on the right video. Let's continue looking out. Next thing I want to talk to you about is home prices and what you actually get in this 2026 market. So right now, as we sit here, the market you are looking at is going to have an average sale price, and this is whole of Manhattan, average sale price of $300,000 to $325,000. This is resale. This is things that you're looking at there. Your new construction, however, jumps up quite a bit to a range of $360,000 to $470,000. Now, that is a range of slab houses with basements and everything else in between. I do want to point out that new is not always necessarily better. So if you have any questions or anything else about that, please reach out to me personally, because I definitely don't want to be putting this on video on all of that stuff. But I'd love to talk with you a little bit about what those neighborhoods are, and you can check out some of our other videos as well that you can check out and see where some good neighborhoods in the Manhattan. Spoiler alert, there's not really any bad neighborhoods. Next thing is your entry-level homes. Right now, older neighborhoods, okay, so if you're looking to get into your first home, something like that, 2-bed, 3-bed, whatever that looks like, your entry-level homes, I'm typically seeing the $200,000 to $250,000 mark. Now, keep in mind, these are not new build homes. Okay, I actually I looked at the market today, and the lowest priced house on the market as I'm speaking to this video is $150,000. That is just a 2-bed, 1-bath duplex that's got one side of a duplex, plus I think it's a 1-bed, 1-bath on that side as well. Depending on what your skill level is on an entry level, I think that's really important, that you know that you're going to be getting a older home. So that means older wiring, older plumbing, older things that way. So you need to dive deep into what those actually look like. And then same, you have the ability to do that if you're looking to do that move up buy or something there too. So make sure that you are utilizing a professional, whoever it was. Hopefully it's me. If it's not, or if it's somebody that so-and-so's brother referred to you, then that's fine, but actually have a conversation, interview those people, understand what you are wanting and needing in a real estate agent and real estate professional, because the door opener is not what you need, I promise you that. Now, next piece is the not so fun stuff. This is your property taxes, your insurance, your utilities, all of that stuff that's rolled up into one that nobody ever talks about. So what I want to talk to you about is what those are. Right now, your property tax rates in Manhattan, 1.3 to 1.4% on your property taxes. So that varies, and I think it's very, very important to understand that your taxes and your special taxes, which those are two different things, can get rolled into that one, but you need to know what those numbers are, because sometimes your special taxes can be an extra $200, $300, $400 a month if you're not paying attention to the particular area that you're looking at, right? So pay attention to that, because that is going to be very important. So property taxes is a big one. Next one I want to talk to you is home insurance. Depending on your age, depending on what your insurance rate is, depending on what the age of the home is, depending on all that stuff, you need to be planning around $2,000 plus a year So I always tell people, like, plan on an additional $200 a month right now. That's a $2,400 over the course of the year. Hopefully you're lower, but so far it hasn't been that. So you need to be paying attention to that, because insurance has absolutely ruined a lot of deals lately, and I want you to understand what you're getting into when you do that. Now, the next thing is utilities. This is like Evergy, which is your power, water and gas and trash and things like that. I always tell people to plan on around that $240 to $350 a month. That's all in. Now, obviously, if you have a EV vehicle or you're running something else, all electric house or something like that, right? It's all going to vary depending on what you're pulling in the house. But that's around that $300 mark. That is something to budget correctly for, to really kind of pay attention to what that looks like for you. But those are ones that I always talk about people. This is where people become house poor, right? They think, oh, cool, I'm pre-approved for $300,000, but I didn't plan on the additional taxes and insurance and utilities and all of the other upkeep things that come into that. So understanding your budget and understanding what that looks like is really, really important before you get into that and you have to sign on that dotted line where there's no repercussions for things. So pay attention to that. Next is the $1 million question, and it is, what do you need in order to live comfortably and not be house poor and not have all of these additional things to think about? I'm going to run numbers off and just kind of assume that you're looking around a $325,000 house, because that's kind of our average right now. I know that's not the new builds, and I know there's so many stipulations else to that, but on that $325,000 on a purchase price on a house, I would tell you that probably that $70,000 to $85,000 is probably a good range to be kind of income coming in. That's your salary. That's things that you need to have. Assuming average debts and assuming that you're putting 5 to 10% down. There's a lot of assumptions in that. But if your household makes that $70,000 to $85,000, that typically will let you live, quote unquote, comfortably in a $325,000 house. And I will tell you, just because your lender says that you can get approved for $500,000 does not mean that you need to go buy that $500,000 house. Now, if the interest rates change and things go down and your affordability goes way up, then it's a whole different conversation, right? But I think right now in today's market, that's what I would tell you to kind of pay attention to and really understand what that looks like. Next piece I want to talk to you about is your everyday costs and lifestyle spending, right? This is the piece that so many people underestimate whenever they're putting their budgets together. I will tell you that groceries are about 5 to 8% higher than the average Kansas supermarket or something of that nature, right? So pay attention when you're looking at that. Manhattan is a little bit more expensive when it comes to groceries. I will say that gas is historically more expensive in Manhattan. Don't ask me why. I think it's a whole different conversation, but that's something we can talk about later. But I would tell you, you're hovering right now right around that $3 a gallon mark. Sometimes I see them up to $3.20, and sometimes I see them as low as $2.80. So it really just kind of depends, but you're hovering right around that $3 a gallon mark. It is more expensive for Kansas, but again, you look at like California or New York or something like that, you're probably going to be a lot less here. The next thing is a typical family of 4 going out to dinner. It doesn't, assuming no drinks or anything else like that, just dinner with 4 of you. I will tell you, I spend about $60 to $80. That's 1 appetizer, 4 entrees, 2 of them are kids' meals, and then just some soft drinks or something, some sodas and things like that. You're looking at about $60 to $80. That just kind of is one night out of going out to eat and just kind of enjoying yourself. So that's what I would tell you to kind of plan on. Obviously, if you're going out with the spouse and going out for a nice night of drinks and hanging out and just doing date night, then it really just depends on what that is. But I would tell you about that $60 to $80 range is a good medium range restaurant that you can kind of just enjoy taking the kids to. Let's talk about renting versus buying in 2026. So this is the age-old question, right? I will tell you, and I will be the first one to tell you, that if you are not going to plan on living in your home for at least 2+ years, do not try to buy. that's caveat to that, right? I want you to understand, like, if you are going to keep that home for 2+ years, but maybe you're military and you're moving out of town or something like that, I want you to understand, like, if you're keeping it as an investment, totally different story. We can go jump on another video. But if you are not planning on living in your home for 2+ years, please don't buy. It is not worth it unless you can force equity and force appreciation on it. That is fixing it up, finishing basements, doing whatever that looks like, right? I've seen too many people, and I unfortunately have some clients of mine that are in a bad position because they didn't live in their home for 2+ years. I will tell you that renting, you're looking at a 3-bedroom rental, $1,500 to $1,800. That's about what you're looking at for a range of renting. Now that doesn't include utilities, obviously, but that's kind of what you're looking at. If you're buying that average house or whatever it is, this does include taxes and insurance and all that kind of stuff, you're looking around that $1,900 to $2,000 mark for your payment and things there. So you are fairly close, but please, if you are not looking to stay for long in this house for 2+ years, and I would almost even venture to say 3+ years, it may not be worth it to buy. So you need to really look at that and understand what that is. I tell my clients all the time, and I coach with them, and I ask these questions up front. Hey, do you or are you looking, what is your plan with this particular home? Are you keeping it? Is it an investment? Are you going to do some updates? What is the plan with it? And if it is a plan that you need to or want to go and update it and do that, cool, go nuts on it, right? Next piece is the hidden value of our Flint Hills, right? The thing that people talk about is always cost this. That's important, don't get me wrong. But when you are moving to Manhattan, I think the things that you need to fully understand is that you have the peace and quiet that you don't have in a big city. You have the space that you don't have in a big city. You have the great schools. You have the low commute stress, right? It takes me 15 minutes to go from one side of town to the other. Now, granted, my stress is still high, but that's just because I've grown up in this little small town area, and I know that the small towns is not, if it has 5 cars at a stoplight, that's a traffic jam for me. But that's just who I am. But I also typically always running late too. So there's also that. The other thing is community, right? I talk about this in a lot, if not all of my videos, is that we really are understanding, like, it is a big, small town. And I think too many times that gets lost in translation. What I mean is that I walk into a restaurant and I probably know somebody, right? Like, I think that's the really neat part of what it is. And you're the same way. You could be the same way of just getting out and meeting people. But that's what it is. Manhattan is a big, small town. And I think that there's a lot of good to that. That plays into the safety factor, right? There are some spots and some spouts and some things that people vandalize and do all that stuff. I don't want you to think that Manhattan's like this, perfect little town, because it's not. There are, vandalizations and stealing and things that way. And I think that's all big there. But I think Manhattan overall is a very safe community and very safe place to live. And then finally, the outdoor access. I will tell you, the Flint Hills is probably one of the most beautiful places that I've seen in the Midwest. Travel it a lot. I love to travel, but Manhattan is we're kind of down in our little valley, and it just overlooks everything. Once you get to see that, it's such a cool opportunity for you to really kind of understand what we really have. So yes, costs are very important. However, I think it's also important for us to understand, like, that what you get versus all the other stuff there's a lot of plus here. So I do enjoy that. If you are running numbers and just kind of seeing what it looks like to live in Manhattan in 2026, go ahead and comment below relocation, and we'll get you over. We can grab our relocation guide. I've got all that stuff, breaks down the monthly costs, where your money can go further. It talks about housing prices, average home prices, and everything else that looks like. This is a really great product that we really put together and put some time into, and I want to make sure that we get it to everyone. So go ahead and put a comment below that says relocation, and I can get that sent over to you. We can definitely get you squared up on that end. That's the real cost of living in Manhattan, Kansas. Again, this is home prices and home affordability and actual living costs and things like that. So I want you to know that I appreciate you guys watching this video to this point. Please, if you have questions about real estate or in Manhattan or just in general, reach out to me. My phone number is 785-477-5485. My email is kyle@homesforsalemhk.com. And you guys, I want you to know, like, I don't care if you've been referred to someone else and you've watched me a lot of times. I get that conversation a lot. Reach out, ask the questions, do your interviews, understand what that looks like, because being a door opener of a real estate agent is not who you need, especially in this time and place in Manhattan. And I want you to know someone that understands the market and understands what's going to put you in the best financial position for you and your family. So whether you have questions about Manhattan or just real estate in general, I don't care if it's buying, selling, investing, or just anything at all, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Just a text, phone call, or email. Any of those works for me. And as always, if you haven't done so already and you do enjoy this content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you help me out, grow the channel and kind of understand that piece of it. And please share this video with someone who may be thinking about relocating to Manhattan. And if you haven't checked out any of our other videos, we have a ton of stuff on our YouTube channel that we can get you on there to take a look at and just understand what you are getting with Manhattan. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.